this way, and we'll get to Brother Joseph in his time. But God bless you all for being here.
Just a couple of announcements. Sister Rose brought to my attention this morning that Mary does have a tent for sale. And she's looking for that tent to go to the highest bidder, and any bids are acceptable. I know that you people that didn't camp with us don't know, but Mary's tent was about 2 feet by 2 feet. So if you're less than 120 pounds and no taller than 4 feet, it'll work great for you. So she will take bids for that for sure. Also, Sister Shirley and Brother Keith over here told me this morning that they are looking for coats, and they said that they make it a habit of breaking into cars before the church service and getting coats out of cars. So my advice would be, it behooves you to lock your cars. So that's my announcements to add to the pastors. Let's pick up in Exodus chapter 32 today. There are times in life that we have to draw a line in the sand. And that's what you're going to see here in Exodus 32. You're going to see an example of somebody that couldn't get that done. And you're going to see an example of somebody that did get that done. Exodus 32, and we're going to read a while. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mountain, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot or know not what is become of him. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives and your sons, interesting, and your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people broke off the golden earrings which are in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast unto the Lord. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I have commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make thee a great nation. And Moses besought the Lord his God, and said, Lord, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought out of the land of Egypt, with great power and with a mighty hand? Wherefore, or why, should the Egyptians speak and say, For mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath, and repent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swarest by thine own self, and saidst unto them, I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven. And all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. And Moses turned and went down from the mountain, and 2 tablets of the testimony were in his hand. The tablets were written on both sides, and on one side and on the other they were written. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God graven upon the tables. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, There is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, It is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but is the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hands and brake them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made, and burned it with fire, and ground it into powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel to drink of it. And Moses said unto Aaron, What did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, Let the anger of my Lord wax not, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people, they are set on mischief. And they, exactly. And they said unto me, Make us gods. Aaron was totally innocent. Make us gods which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man which brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot or know not what has become of him. And he said unto them, whosoever hath any gold. And I said unto them, whoever has any gold, let him break it off. So they gave it to me. And then I cast it into the fire, and out magically came this calf. And when Moses saw the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp. And notice Moses drawing a line in the sand. Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come to me. And all the sons of Levi were they gathered themselves together unto him. So we see two men in this story. I see Aaron in this story as a leader of the Jewish people. And I see Moses as a leader of the Jewish people. I see one that could get a line in the sand drawn. And I see one that cannot get a line in the sand drawn. So my question that I would pose to the Sunday school class, the happy campers this morning, would be, can God's people be led into bad things? And certainly when we see the example of Aaron, folks, remember this was the same Aaron that was Moses' mouthpiece. God had anointed Aaron to go speak for Moses, because when Moses was called, like many of us, he said, I cannot speak. I cannot get this done. So Aaron was then Moses' mouthpiece. God anointed that. God caused that to happen. And even though Aaron was the same Aaron that threw the rod down on the ground in front of the Egyptian Pharaoh, remember? They were casting their rods on the ground and they became snakes. The Egyptian Pharaoh cast his down, became a snake. Aaron cast his down and became a snake that consumed all the other snakes. To show the supremacy of God and the power of God. It was that same Aaron that had been through the Red Sea and seen the miracle there. It's that same Aaron right there in chapter 32 that becomes a gutless wonder and cannot draw a line in the sand. The people came to him and they said, make us gold and make us the calf. And instead of rebuking them, instead of drawing that line in the sand, Aaron says, give me what you got. Give me your gold. Aaron was definitely a victim of peer pressure. And you know, Peter said something that lets us know that we can all be a victim of falling away. We can all go worship a calf in one way or the other. Peter said this, talking about the coming of the Lord, you therefore, beloved, knowing this beforehand, take care that you are not carried away with the error of lawless or wicked people and lose your own stability. So it can happen to every one of us. Just as it happened to Aaron, just as it happened to the people of Israel who followed Aaron. See, the problem was not that Aaron was a bad leader. He was not a leader. He was an absentee leader. He just went right along with the crowd. So children, it is time to draw a line in the sand. In many lives today, it is time for us to draw a line in the sand. And there's some ways that we need to understand to get that done. We need to talk a little bit about sanctification. Sanctification can be a slippery slope because not everybody understands it the way you understand it. And furthermore, not everybody understands sanctification the way the Bible understands sanctification. But to me, sanctification means that you are not being influenced by the godlessness around you. So if we're going to draw a line in the sand, and one thing that Aaron did wrong here, when he didn't draw this line in the sand, is he was influenced by peer pressure. He was influenced by the group that he was around. So whether or not he gave approval to their actions, he participated. Have you ever heard the saying that if you're silent, you're said to agree? And that's very true in life. He said, give me your rings, and he worshipped the golden calf, and you'll even find in there that Aaron himself worshipped the golden calf. So we must not be a victim of peer pressure. I had a dear friend of mine, we were discussing shows, and there's this really popular show out. It's about vampires, I'm not going to name it. And I said, you know, I don't know what that's about, but I've heard it's really popular. Everybody on Facebook's all over it. And he said to me, he said, you don't need to watch that, because it's nothing but immorality. It's nothing but filth. So we need those kind of folks in our lives. We need to be sanctified in that we are avoiding evil influences. And let me tell you, when it comes to being influenced by ungodly people, you've heard the saying, it's a very common expression in our time, you cannot hang with the turkeys and soar with the eagles. And it's very true. And Paul bore it out in 1